No, ready. So, Ross, the stage is yours. The 5 p.m. session.
Okay, great. Thanks for your start presenting. Yep, so like I've got like a few slides, and also just we'll have a look at the postmortem for a start as well.
Okay.
So this PM was like chart operator requests at too low for control planes. Yeah, like AKA the case with too many secrets, like as we'll find out in a sec. And you have to have a look at the postmortem. So yeah, that got paged. Unfortunately, like in the night, I think in Exodus, with chart operator down, and also this service level burn rate too high. And what was happening was he was seeing spikes in chart memory usage. It was going from like 200 meg up to like at times as high as 3 gigabytes. And so this was also impacting other pods on the node as well from XY. And also, like as we said, there weren't actually any limits on the chart operator pod, so it could actually cause the node to term as well. And so this was happening on Exodus, and it was a new control plane, so it wasn't super high impact, but it was becoming annoying with the pages, and the problem was kind of coming back. So I started having a look at it. And for a start, yeah, the main thing that was confusing me was these spikes, where these spikes were coming from. And also at about the same time, we were starting to use VPA, like vertical pod autoscaler. So I wanted to start to see, if that could help, or just to start looking at things. But what actually helped was actually using the profiler, and then could find out that actually there were just way too many secrets, like in the cluster, and that was causing the high memory usage in chart operator. But so yeah, with that, like I'll go back to the slides, and then can just the rest, everything else is like is here in the slides. Yeah, it's just loading. Hopefully, yeah, hopefully that's coming through okay now. Yeah, so yeah, just to summarize again what was happening. So yeah, this was in the Exodus management cluster, and there was pages for chart breakdown and also some other the service level burn as well. And yeah, this was happening because of these spikes in memory usage. And part of the problem is in a previous PM, we'd seen Shutterbird usage being high in a couple of control planes, but not this high, just a bit higher. And the limits have been removed as part of that, because I think this happened kind of late on a Friday, and the limits have been removed. But because there's no memory limit, it was impacting other pods and it was impacting the node as well. So yes, so the steps were in the end actually using the profiler was the step that was the most useful to find the cause. And yeah, I hadn't actually used the profiler that much, so it took a bit to kind of get that set up. But I found some really good notes to kind of help with that. And this from the profiler, you could see that the problem was actually coming from the Helm secret storage driver. And with that prompt, could then start looking for how many secrets in the cluster, are there too many? And yeah, the problem is there was this one AWS operator app CR with nearly 4,000 secrets, when we should only ever really have a maximum of 10 per app CR. So it was way higher. And the extra secrets were because chart operator was being blocked by gatekeeper, and this max history of only keeping 10 secrets wasn't working. So going in, the actual root cause was because this was a new control plane, there was actually a duplicate app CR. So it's probably while it's being set up in another app CR being created manually or something, but it had this V as well. But the problem is the app CR name was different, but everything else was the same. So that's why it was triggering the gatekeeper rules, because there was two pods running, matching with the same labels. And that's why every time the chat CR was processed, another secret was getting generated until we ended up with just way too many, and then that started to cause the node to become out of memory. And so yeah, what should actually be happening is when we do a Helm upgrade, we always set this history max to 10 to keep that, but because this was a failure condition, it wasn't respecting that. And so yes, so like how this got resolved was initially was just deleting all the secrets to get the management cluster healthy again. That takes a really long time because we can really delete them sequentially. But then once the secrets were there, the cluster was kind of recovered. but we needed to put the memory limit back in. And also at the same time, we started using VPA in chart operator as well, because it can vary a bit between management clusters. And because the management clusters become more dynamic, we wanted to start using VPA. And then we also added some monitoring. So previously, back when we were doing Helm 2, we had like an alert for too many release config maps, but that had got missed in part of the migration. So there wasn't an alert for Helm secrets. So now we have that, and it's something like if there's more than 1,000 secrets in the cluster, then we get alerted. So we detect it earlier, but it's still not an actual fix. And so then this week I've been looking a bit in chart operator, and there's a fix. This fix is still in progress, but the plan is so that when it fails in this case, we check the Helm history, and if it's failed like 5 times, then we stop and we'll get alerted, so we don't keep on creating more secrets. And as a solution, because the Helm flag isn't working. And the other kind of meta lesson that I learned as well was to start using the profiler more. And we want to start using VPA in more components as well. But that was definitely really useful, and I hadn't really used the profiler that much before, so that step was really useful. Yeah, and so this is going a bit deeper into the profiler. And so yeah, I used some great notes that powered it in for AWS Operator. There was a bit of problem I had getting like graphics set up in my machine, but once that was there, it all went very smoothly. And then from this profiler, so this is starting in Helm clients where we get release content, we find like the status of a Helm release, and we start going kind of down through the stack through Helm clients into the action package, which is the Helm Go client, which is what we use in our Helm client is basically a wrapper around it. And then from that, it starts going into the storage and into the secrets driver. So, and because this is using about 700 meg, that started like an indication that something was wrong around secrets. Yeah, so as well as that, we wanted to start using VPA in our components, and so yeah, this is basically working on all the great work that Atlas have been doing around VPA, and so we wanted to start using it for chart operator as well. But one of the things we have with chart operator is we want it to be able to run anywhere, like in a client cluster, or in the future in like some EKS cluster as well, not just our clusters. So we don't want to have a VPA dependency. But so what we do in the Helm chart is you can use the Helm capabilities. So we only actually try to create the VPA if actually this cluster has it. So in cases like the kind clusters, we don't even try to create it. And then we also just have a flag in the chart, so we can also turn it off if we want to. But that lets us use it in management clusters, but then in other places like workload clusters and then like just kind clusters, we just don't create the VPA. So we want to start trying to do that when we add VPA to like more of our components. Yeah, and that was it like for the slides. Yeah, I'll stop sharing, and then yeah, if anyone's got any questions.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. It was nice. I have some questions, but if someone wants to go first, Michael.
Yep. So I have one question. So even though they have a lot of the Helm secrets, it's generated by the repeated the super high using the of memory. This is from the chart operators, which is come from the Helm. It seems like they have some kind of the bug, or they have some kind of issues from it. So report it to the upstream community just about this high spikes of memory.
Yes, yeah, definitely. I think it's actually that yeah, what's it called? It's called max history. Well, we keep the history, but the problem is in these failure conditions, it's not respecting the 10 because we always say we want to have a history of 10. So yeah, I think we should raise a bug in upstream with this as well to see what's happening. But in this case, I could reproduce this on like Giraffe, where if you create that duplicate app CR, the first release fails, and then it'll keep on creating them however many times you process the CR. But yeah, it should only keep 10, and then we could remove some of the logic from chart operator.
Yeah, sure. That's the answer. Anyone else just have a question? Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say that was pretty cool. Could you post a link to the notes about using pprof? Because I actually started using it to dig into Prometheus as well, so it will be quite useful.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Like in the presentation, it's got like in the link section, I linked to Pau's notes as well. I think it's actually like an AWS operator PR where he had the steps, but yeah, I found them really useful, to get that working. And yeah, we need to do that with app operator as well, because it's also using more memory than I'd like to as well, just to see what's going on. So, but yeah, I was a bit, because I hadn't really used pprof much before. It was a really good way to get up and running with it.
Yeah, cool. Very good. And yeah, I might borrow that trick with the Helm chart and installing VPA or autoscaler resources conditionally. It's pretty good.
Yeah, that capability is like how it's a built-in Helm object, and it's quite handy for for stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a question. Can you hear me well? Because connection is not too good today.
Yeah, it was breaking up for me a bit as well, but it seems okay again now.
Okay, let's switch off the camera to save some bandwidth. So first, I wanted to really understand what was the problem. Like, we have two versions of AWS Operator, which correspond to the same release, I think, right?
Yes. So it was this 5.7.6 version of AWS Operator, and the only difference was the app CI had like a V in the name. So I think what it probably was because Exodus was a new management cluster, someone was getting stuff working, maybe it got deleted and they recreated it manually. But so that kind of V that was in the app CI name, we don't have that in any of the others, because the CI should be created by release operator, and it doesn't have that V in the name. So that's why it seems like maybe because it was a new management cluster, people were kind of getting up and running, but it was that dupe was what was actually triggering Gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper was blocking the creation of the Helm release or the chart CR.
Yes. So I think we're moving a bit away from Gatekeeper, but we have this rule that we use for Vue, where we only want to have one operator reconciling a single version. And the problem is because that was a dupe and everything apart from the name, it was trying to create a second AWS operator deployment using the same labels. And that logic blocks it. But what should happen is chart operator should have just been blocked like 10 times or use the limit, and it should have stopped. But because of those two things, because of Gatekeeper and also the chart operator bug, it just kept on creating more secrets.
Okay. Okay, I think I got it. Okay, cool. And then second question is, when you were showing the condition for installing or deploying the autoscaler, the vertical pod autoscaler, you were depending on the API version of the autoscaling.
Yes.
I was thinking, why to that version? Because this version is kind of always there, but it needs the metrics API or metrics server running there. So you need like something like metrics server who implements the metrics API, right?
I think because it's a VPA resource, it needs like the VPA CIDs. So in like a kind cluster, because there's no VPA like installed by default, that API version doesn't exist. So just in kind, we don't try to create it.
Okay. So this is a specific version for the VPA. Okay.
Yeah. It's just I think it's just the CID that the VPA autoscaler uses.
Cool. Okay. I got it.
So you're right that if the metric server isn't there, the VPA isn't going to do anything, but the resource can still be created then.
Okay, yeah. It's better. Yeah. Cool. Cool. I think I don't have anything else. Any other question? But yeah, it was great. Anyone? G or Hook or Michael? You have something else?
Nothing else. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. Thank you for the effort, Ross.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Yeah, I enjoyed putting it together, and yeah, it was that was really cool putting it together. So thanks.
Yeah. If you don't mind.